Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Nelson with TUG, and we're so glad that you joined us today for our TUG Connects 365 programming. As you settle in and get comfortable and get ready for the start of today's webinar, let me give a brief introduction for TUG, the usergroup.org, for both our current members and those of you who currently represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community of Infor distribution software users. Now, we've all heard the phrase that knowledge is power, and I can say with the utmost confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both, as well as armed with additional solutions for the ERP that you're working in. Now, TUG webinar forums and meditate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with more confidence. And no matter how you slice it, that in fact is a winning combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get even more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one to help you be the best at what you do each day. Now, before we get started, allow me to touch base on some keeping information. Full hour. Open and drop your Q&A bubble into your toolbar, and also feel free to open your chat window. I'll be monitoring both of those portals, but if you put your question into chat, we'll ask you to move it over into Q&A unless it's anonymous, because in that way, everyone in the audience you've posted, and if multiple questions surface, by simply liking one that you posted, it bubbles it up and puts it right at the top. So that ensures that you get your question answered. Now, regarding intellectual property permissions, you are invited to take screenshots as well as copy and paste chat into maximizing your experience today. The content will be recorded, and as always, it's usually available within 2 business days on our website, also behind our member wall. So without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our showcase of sponsors today who are going through their different option that will augment your ERP to productivity boost automation tools for document delivery and process automation. Stop doing things manually is the command of the day. So we have today Paul Bushell, who is sales executive with Unform. We also have Matt Kotlowski, who is an account manager with DQ Tech. Jerome Lavelli, who is president of Enlighten.net. And also we have Chris Graves, who is senior business manager with Esker. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask everyone except for Paul to jump off camera until it's your turn. And Paul, I'm turning things over to you. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Gloria. So today we're going to just take a real quick tour through some of our tools for process automation. So many of you probably are already running our print management application that allows you to take output from various business applications, whether it's CSD, SX.enterprise, fax, A+, whatever you happen to be running. And then we take that data and use our design tool to generate professional forms and reports that you can then deliver not only via printers, but also email and fax. We've also got Cirrus Print, which is our cloud print solution. So it allows you to send print to printers that without having to require email capability on those printers. So you can continue to use your existing printers as you move your applications to the cloud. In addition to our print solution, we also have full-blown document management solution. So our archive is where we store documents for retrieval. And as documents come in, they can come in a variety of ways. As forms and reports are printed, they're captured automatically. We also have the image manager application, which allows you to capture either external documents, vendor invoices, customer POs, any of those kinds of things, or maybe documents from your warehouse, so packing slips, all those kinds of things. And Image Manager has the ability to automate that process to a pretty remarkable extent. So it will monitor not only directories, so as you scan, if you're scanning hard copies, we can monitor a directory, pick up those documents and process them automatically. If you're receiving documents via email, in a lot of cases, vendors are emailing invoices. We can monitor mailboxes, pick up those documents and pull the attachments off and process those. Image Manager has a variety of technologies that we use to capture that information. So if typically with emailed invoices, what we see more and more of today is that it's a PDF with a text layer. So we're able to read that text off of that PDF pretty much 100% accurate all of the time. We don't have to process it with an OCR engine. We also do have OCR capability as well. So in addition to a built-in OCR engine, we also have the ability to plug in an AI-driven OCR engine as well. So if you have documents that require OCR, we can process those without any problems at all. And then as Image Manager processes those documents, it pushes them into the archive, but it can also push documents into IDM and other document repositories. So if you're thinking moving to IDM and you need the ability to either scan or import documents into there, Image Manager can do that for you. And in addition to pushing documents into IDM, we can also extract the transaction data off of documents, format that as either a BOD or an EDI transaction, and push those directly into your application as well, so that we automate that data entry piece for you. So you're not spending your day keying data in, you're spending your day managing the documents that require some additional attention. Routine transactions flow through without intervention and get processed by your ERP for payment. We also have doc flow capability. So the doc flow, you can use it for a variety of things, and it's configurable based on whatever your particular business processes are. Typical processes that we see, a couple of good examples are expense invoices that have to be routed for approval and for GL assignment. Doc flow can route those to the correct people, give them the ability to review, add notes, add additional attachments, whatever they need to do. And then from there, push that on to the next step in the process and alert whoever is responsible for dealing with the document after those approvals have taken place. They'll be alerted that they have some work to do. On trade invoices, DocFlow is a great tool when documents fail the three-way match. So you can route that back to the appropriate person, again, along with not only the invoice, but you can have the packing slip, the purchase order, and the invoice, all the documents that they need to review to be able to resolve whatever that particular problem is with that. So all these various applications, you can kind of mix and match as you need and use them, for the various processes that you need to process your documents in. And then the net result of that is when we process documents through Image Manager, not only do we push them in, can we push them into the archive, they'll also get pushed into IDM, and then from within your ERP's inquiries, you have the ability to actually come in and launch those documents. So from within your ERP inquiry, you can launch the documents you're looking for to resolve whatever particular issue it is you're working on. In addition to that, we can also push documents into accounts payable as well. So as documents come in via email, we pick up the attachments by monitoring the mailbox, capture the data off of that document, create either a BOD or EDI 810i.dat or whatever format is required for the ERP, and push that into the AP processing center for processing. And you also, again, have the ability to push those documents into IDM as well. So as those documents get processed, we push them into IDM. So they're available to you, a variety of ways as you need them. So Gloria, that's kind of everything I wanted to show today. So if we've got a few minutes for questions, that'd be awesome.
We sure do. We've had a couple that have populated so far. First question is, can you continue to use print management with CSD?
Absolutely. So there are rule files that handle the XML output from CSD, so you can continue to use it.
And another question that populated is, does Unform work with other ERPs besides CSD?
Yes, absolutely. So whether it's CSD, SX on-prem, fax, A+, and there's a variety of other uh, uh, ERPs that we work with as well. So yes, absolutely.
All righty. Well, in order to be considerate of everyone's time, I'm going to ask you, Paul, to hop off. And Jerome, if you'd like to join me on camera.
Hi, Gloria.
Paul, yes, I can hear you just fine. And Paul, I'm going to ask you if you would be so kind, please, to put your contact information if someone wants to reach out to you in the everyone option in the chat window, if you would please. So Jerome, if you want to go ahead and take control of the screen, it's all yours.
Okay, give me just a quick moment here. Here we are. Thank you. Well, thank you, Gloria. And Paul, that was pretty impressive. So I have a similar presentation. I'm going to take a little bit more time and a few more slides to go through mine, but hopefully it won't be too much longer. My name is Jerome LaValle. I'm the president and co-founder of EnlightenNet. We are a document management solution, and we work with all ERPs, not just CSD or SX.e. Anyone you've heard of, basically, we work with those. Because we sit on the outside, we don't tie back into a lot of things, although we have some tools that pull out of SX.e and CSD, and I'll show you in a little bit how we do a similar AP automation tool to Unform. But early on, today's conversation is supposed to be about how to automate and stop doing things manually. And I love these, the early document management. This is what you are all were doing a few years ago, and some of you are still doing. I'm sure there are some that are not really willing to admit it, but this is the way you're filing things today, and you can't find them. So the simplest solution is to move to a modern document management solution. Faster, more accurate, more secure, safer, cleaner, all of the above, all around better, and most importantly, it's more cost effective than the rest. Our solution is totally web-based, which helps you enable your remote workforce, means your people can move between the office and the home office seamlessly, or one branch to another without having to worry about installed software, etc. That also reduces your IT burden. You don't have to worry about installations on every desktop, and it is pretty easy to use. That's why a lot of the software in the world is moving to web-based things. Easy retrieval. We OCR every image, every scanned document that comes in. We OCR all the text on the page. However, if it is text-based or a native-born PDF, there's no need to OCR that, and we still index every single word on the page, allowing you to use any term that's on that document to retrieve it. So when you do a search for an invoice number, you could find the packing slip or the purchase order, and more appropriately, if you search for the purchase order number, you'll find the packing slip, the invoice, and the purchase order to compare all three. Modern document management systems are secure. They allow you to control the capabilities. Even if you've moved from those filing cabinets that I showed you before to a network share because you figured out how to scan documents, those are not secure. It's not allowing you to control who has access to what. Our solution, easy point and click, you can control down to allow some people to view but not edit, restrict other people from viewing the documents at all. And we'll keep an audit log. Who accessed each individual document? What did they do with it? Where did they send it? If they sent it out of the building, that way you can keep track of who's actually accessing your data and ensure that it's only those users who should be accessing it. Notifications, we have alerts allow you to tell when new documents come in. Probably not worth it for invoices. You probably get dozens and dozens of those, if not hundreds every single day. But workflow approvals, you might need a notification that there's a pricing discrepancy, and our software will tell you that it's there. And those alerts flow right into my workflows, as I already mentioned. You set up routing, documents can move from one folder to the next. Next step in the process might be the purchasing manager approving it or rejecting it. correcting it as needed. Management now has oversight into where documents and business transactions fall in each step of the process. And lastly, I wanted to spend more time. I apologize, I've been talking a little fast. 5 minutes isn't quite long enough for all these presentations, but we do have a similar automated invoice processing. So we capture the invoices on the way in. Does not matter if they are printed into us, scanned, or captured via email, as most invoices are being transacted these days or sent via email. So our software pulls the attached invoice off the email, passes it off to Trapeze, the invoice processing component, which adds context to that document. It pulls out the invoice number, the purchase, the line items. It validates the quantities and the total against your open purchase orders from your business system. It then passes that information back to our processing engine, which updates your ERP and updates our documents to tell you where they are in the process. Did they need assistance, or that they are completed and flow through. Automating the invoice processing. Everyone's talking about this. Everyone's doing it. So this is probably a redundant slide. You all know that it's going to reduce the manual entry and cut your processing time. It also improves the accuracy. People are worried about those things being wrong, but you should be more worried about the typos that your team enters manually. Everyone's mileage will vary, but we did have a 65% productivity increase from the first company that we implemented our solution in. So it was taking their AP clerk a full 8-hour day and then some in most days. And on a regular basis, it's down around 90 minutes a day now. One of the other things that separates us in the document management world and in this space, and I'm sure everyone's going to say this a little bit today, is our customer support and service. So Marilyn here from BAML says she can't remember a package which had such dramatic impact on our business from the first day. Really want to think she's talking about our service and support at that same time, because we were able to get her up and running and going quickly. ROI, the sales team requires that I put this in here, but really all these solutions are going to pay for themselves in a short period of time. What you need is a solution that's going to work for you, work for your future, and your users are going to adopt and they're going to work with. So I think I'm about done here. Last thing that we do is we offer a 100% money back guarantee. If you're not happy, give us a shot. Let us try. If you don't work, we're happy to give you your money back. And some of you are rolling your eyes going, of course they're not going to do that. Well, we will, but we usually don't have to. We almost never have to. As a matter of fact, I think it's only happened once in our 20 years of business. So I know I went way too fast, Gloria, but that's where I'm at. So are there any questions at this point?
We do have some questions here. With respect to your solution, what ERP systems do you have this running currently with?
We have this running with several Epicor solutions, a couple of Tribute solutions products, and we are talking to several SX.e users. We do not have anyone actively using it for SX.e, the AP automation. We do have SX.e and CSD customers using just the document management solution.
And another very important question, as we know, is that implementation is always critical with regard to time. And somebody posted and said, what is a typical implementation timeline?
So the implementation timeline for the document management piece is really simple. It can be up in an afternoon. Obviously, depending on how complicated you want to get with some of your workflows, it may take a few more days. That's as complicated as you want that to be. The AP automation is a lot more complicated. That implementation time frame is about 45 days from the time you want to go. You give someone the order, give us the order, to us take samples to be sure that your solutions, your invoices work with our solution. And we turn that around in roughly about 45 days to get you tested and up and running.
Thanks, Jerome. That's all we have so far. I'm going to ask you, do you have a slide that shows how people can reach out to you?
I do, and I just clicked on it. Thank you, Gloria.
Wonderful. And I'm going to also invite you at this time to go ahead and jump off camera. And if you'd be so kind as to also drop it into the chat portal, I'm going to next invite to join us Mike, not Matt. Mike, I apologize for calling you Matt Kotlowski. So I'm like, oh
no. No worries. Fortunately, the name was on the screen.
Yes, fortunate for me, and my producer Ashley is in the background. She goes, "Don't you have glasses?" And I said, "Yeah, but they're just meant for reading close material." And when you're working on a monitor, I generally wear them in rehearsal if I don't have makeup on the day before we go live. So I apologize for hammering your name. If you want to go ahead and take control of the screen, it's all yours right now.
Apology accepted.
Thank you. You're very gracious.
All right, Jerome, thanks for that. And as Gloria said, my name is Mike Kotlowski. I am with DQ Technologies. Oh, slow thing. All right, if you're not familiar with DQ Technologies, we're based out of Austin, Texas, been around since '92. We have been TUG members since about 2008. And what we do is offer a single platform for routing, dispatching, GPS tracking, order delivery tracking, and of course, customer service notifications, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. So this screen, I think Jerome had a very similar one. If your company's doing deliveries, these probably look familiar. These may be things you used to do. They may be things that you still do. If so, don't be embarrassed. You're not alone. The common theme here is these are all very manual processes, and they require time, people, sometimes multiple people. The end result is that they keep your teams from doing what they really need to do, and that is get stuff out the door. Right. If you've seen previous DQ webinars, we've probably highlighted our ODT software. That is our order delivery tracking software. That's really the engine that runs all of our customer notifications. What it also does is it provides visibility into the delivery status for your internal people. So there's your first line of kind of notifications, because anyone within the office has access to the software. You see a clip of the screen there, where if a customer or salesperson calls them, they have the ability to go in and very quickly look up estimated delivery times. Now, when we get into the actual notification side of things, we do have several different kind of routes. One is our e-messaging, which is email and text notifications. The other one is our customer portal app. Now, in terms of e-messaging, probably all seen this. I'm kind of embarrassed. I just actually turned on my Amazon notifications last week. Didn't realize that those actually existed, and they're actually the reason we do a lot of this stuff is the old Amazon effect. But on the left, you see kind of a mock-up of various text messages that you might get. And sorry, I've appeared to have dropped off camera here, but we're going to keep going. There we go. And on the right side, you'll see the various triggers. These are all generated from either your Infor ERP system or our software, and they are customizable. Honestly, not a ton of folks do the order placement. However, some companies do like to acknowledge that an order has been received, especially if it's through some sort of e-commerce site, fax, crazy old things like that. But certainly when the vehicle departs, and ETA updates are definitely things you want to notify your customers. Generally, we set a default of 15 minutes. And what I mean by that is if the ETA actually varies, 15 minutes plus or minus, your customer will get a status update. And then, of course, once the vehicle has arrived and the delivery has actually been made. There we go. The next sort of level is email notifications. As you can see, the information is basically the same. It's just a little bit more complex because we are able to provide branding for your company. Just we've got more real estate to work with. But really where email actually shines is this picture on the right. That is the delivery notification. And again, we can provide much more information in terms of when the order's been delivered, where it's been delivered, the time, customer job numbers, POs, things of that nature. But most importantly, you also get what has been delivered as well as any proof of delivery photographs or signatures. Okay, next up is our customer portal app. As you can see, this is a little bit fancier. It would be branded to your company. It's not branded to DQ Technologies. Unfortunately, our friends at Drywall Supply up in Minnesota are gracious and let us show theirs. And I think they've got a pretty good portal app. But on the left, you can see those are the lists of all the orders that are coming today. You can also look at yesterday's deliveries, past and also future. But what it does is it shows you the basic information of the delivery, PO number, order number, where it's going to be delivered. You can actually click on that and actually see sort of the manifest. But in the upper right-hand corner, you can also see the delivery status. Combined in our kind of nomenclature means it's either been staged or actually on the vehicle. And then you can see on the bottom one, it's on site. And as the delivery status change, those do get updated. And on the right, you can see how they're also updated. You do get application notifications whenever the status of the delivery changes. And again, those statuses are all going to be similar to those right there. One really nice thing about the customer app is once the delivery has been made, you get this screen right here, which is going to have a little bit more information. You look on the top there with the order number, PO number, you see the little pen squiggly line there. That means that there's actually a signature. So proof of delivery is right there. And again, the next screen down is proof of delivery pictures. So you do get the steps there and you do get what has been delivered. Again, the point of this is to try to put the information out to the customer so that they don't have to call you, text you, email you, and force you to run around, and to try to find that information out. Okay, as Jerome said, 5 minutes is pretty quick, so we do have to talk kind of fast, but I'd like to thank you for your time. Again, Mike Kotlowski with DQ. There's my information. Feel free to email, call, text, or connect with me on LinkedIn, as I'm pretty active there. And with that, are there any questions, Gloria?
We do. So far, we've got one question that's populated. The first one is, what information can be included in customer notifications?
Okay, cool. I thought that one might come up. I had to actually cut that slide out because I didn't want to take over time. But through the presentation, you saw a lot of things: PO number, order number. Here's kind of a listing of the general stuff that we do include. Again, all this information will come from either Infor or from our ODT software. So again, especially with email notifications, we have to be a little bit careful because we don't have the real estate, but these are all things that are custom to each customer.
Interesting, in terms of that uniqueness to each one. Another question populated and says, how are delivery ETAs established and updated in your solution?
Good question. So I did mention our ODT software, and I think very early on I mentioned that we do GPS tracking. So basically the GPS tracking of the vehicle is really the engine that runs all of it, because that gives us the location of the vehicle and the order. It does update every minute, so it's virtually real time. And then in terms of ETAs, they do get established in our order delivery tracking software. We do have a routing and dispatch tool. So once the schedule's been created and the vehicle leaves the facility, that established is the initial ETA. And as time goes on, deliveries go on, traffic, you get stuck at a customer location, that's when the ETAs do get updated.
That's great. That's a great tool to have, especially if something's critical that you have to get out to someone else.
Got
So
it.
without any further ado, Mike, I'm going to ask you, would you please share your contact information on your slide? And if you can give an audible on that real quickly.
Yep, again, Mike Kotlowski, Mike.Kotlowski at dqtech.com. There's my phone number.
And I'm going to ask you also, as we segue to give everybody a level playing field, we're going to jump over and I'm going to invite Chris to join us on camera and go ahead and jump into his presentation. And I don't want anybody to jump off, because after we finish Chris and do his Q&A, we're going to open this up to everyone else to any final questions. And the only thing that I would ask as we get there is that you delineate who you wish to have jump on and answer the question for you.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike and Gloria. As mentioned, my name is Chris Graves. I'm with Esker. Many of you on the call probably know of us from our VisiFax or VSI fax software, as well as our fax on demand service for faxing out of your Infor application. Or if you've been to TUG, you might remember us from the flashing red glasses we give away, because that is the giveaway at our booth. So you may not know the company name, but you probably know us from one of those other 3 systems. What I'm going to be talking about today is not fax, because that's kind of something that is still alive but going away. What we're going to be talking today about is more about the business process automation solutions that Esker offers. And there's quite a few of them. So over the last 10 to 15 years, Esker's really been focusing on 2 sections of the business, both the procure to pay side of things, as well as the order to cash side. So we have automated solutions for basically the 4 sections that I'm talking about, as well as some subsections underneath inside of the petals of the flower, if you will, on each side. All these solutions are hosted by Esker. So these are all cloud-based, nothing to install on your site. Even the FTP servers we use going back and forth are hosted by Esker. So keep that in mind as we're talking here a little bit. So we'll start down here in the lower left. We've heard from a couple other companies about accounts payable software, accounts payable automation. Esker does it as well. We do it in a little bit different way. We do actually replicate information out of your ERP system, whether it's Infor or another system or a combination thereof. And we'll help facilitate the 3-way matching. So we're matching the invoice information that's captured against the original purchase order and the goods receipt. We also then will send that document or that information through a validation process. So your AP specialist can actually review the information before it gets uploaded or posted into your Infor system. On that same side of the wheel here, we also have a procurement solution. This is not designed to replace what you're doing in your ERP system. Rather, it's designed to enhance or replace kind of what you're doing manually at this point, or may not be doing at all. So really for the ordering of things like office supplies, IT hardware, those types of items that are being ordered perhaps without a purchase order at all today. So it does a couple of things. One, it helps companies kind of prevent rogue spending. It allows your managers to kind of look at budgets and how it's impacted by orders that are yet to be placed. But the other thing that it does is once you create the purchase order, obviously from our procurement solution, when that invoice comes into our AP solution, now it's a PO'd invoice. So you're getting that approval on the front end. The other thing you can do with our procurement solution is you can link it to punch cards or Amazon accounts or that sort of thing. So you can actually define what items your employees can purchase. So if they're looking for a laptop, you can say, fine, here's the 4 laptops you have to choose from, rather than just going out and grabbing a random laptop that they're going to want to put in a purchase request for. On the order to cash side, we offer an order management solution. So much like the AP side of things, we're bringing in orders regardless of the format, the layout, the structure. It doesn't make any difference. We can bring in an EDI order, fax, email message with the order in the message body itself, and extract that information. And much like we're doing on the AP side of things as well, once we've extracted the information on the order side, we are going to then validate that information against the information from your ERP system. So we're going to confirm that the customer is a legitimate customer, that it's in your ERP. We're going to grab the customer number, their bill to and their ship to information, validate all the material numbers that are on that order, et cetera, and make sure that all that information is accurate before you load it into your Invoice system. And then finally, on this other side, at the bottom portion of that same wheel, we also have an accounts receivable solution, which does a few different things. One, it will send out automated payment reminders to your customers, letting them know if an invoice is coming due, one is due, or one is past due. And you can set which customers actually receive those notifications and what the wording around those notifications are. But we also provide an interface that your AR department can go into that will automatically create follow-up tasks based on how far past due your customers are on their invoice, and then allow them to record notes about conversations they've had with customers, set promise dates, etc. And then one final piece that we offer on the AR side of things is a payment opportunity. So your customers can log into the Esker portal and they can make credit card or ACH payments within that portal. They can set up auto pay, etc. One other subsection of the accounts receivable solution we're getting a lot of visibility into is cash application. So we can actually take the lockbox file from your bank and then look at the payment that a customer has issued, compare it against your open invoices, and then escrow will make intelligent decisions or suggestions rather about which invoices that cash that's been received can be applied to. And if there's multiple choices or multiple equations or multiple ways that cash can be applied, it'll present it to somebody on your AR department so that they can make a final decision. So all these solutions are separate solutions, but they're all kind of stacked on top of one another and are all part of the platform that we call Esker on Demand. So they all have the same look and feel, and it really becomes quite easy for companies to automate all sections of their business using a single solution. Now, one thing I mentioned is that we don't depend on templates. We don't really care what the file type is, what the structure of the document is, what the layout of the document is, whether, so there's no concept of needing to onboard customers or vendors or anything like that. And the way that we do that, again, is with our AI technology. And so, yes, we have character extraction. You've heard a couple of the other people on the call today talk about OCR and needing to use it sometimes if you're receiving an image-based document, converting it to text. Esker has it as well, and we actually OEM that from one of the top OCR providers in the industry. No sense recreating the wheel on OCR, so we're borrowing their technology. But we really only use OCR to convert the image file to a text file. From there, it's all Esker proprietary technology that's actually extracting the information. So the first piece of technology we have is what we call first-time recognition. And this is applied the first time that we see a document come in from a vendor or a customer. And I kind of like to think of first-time recognition kind of as facial recognition. If I ask you to draw a face, you know that you need 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, ears, but where they're positioned, what they look like looks a little bit different. And that's kind of what our first-time recognition looks for. We know when we receive an order, for example, that there's going to be an order number, there's going to be a date on there, there's going to be a bill to and a ship to, and there's going to be line items on there. And so our first-time recognition will do its best to try to capture the information off those documents the first time that it sees an order from a customer. To enhance the first-time recognition, Esker has recently developed what we call our Synergy Neural Network. What that really means is that Esker has taken 1.7 million documents that we've received that our customers have actually processed through the Esker system and trained Esker on it, which means that we already know 1.7 million order layouts. So the likelihood of Esker being able to capture the information off the order the first time that it's received from your customer is pretty high. It's going to be a pretty high percentage of capture, probably 80 to 85% of the information is going to be captured correctly the first time we see an order from a customer. To enhance that even further, we've developed and employed something called our Synergy Shared Network, which means that as our customers continue to process orders from their customers, our other customers get to take advantage of what has been trained or what Esker has learned. So that 1.7 million documents that we trained on the front end is continually being enhanced by the Synergy Shared Network. Now, when I say shared, we're just learning the layouts and the formats of the orders or the invoices. We're not sharing your actual information. It's just that, we know now that an invoice number is located here or the order numbers here, et cetera. And that's the template that we're really sharing. On top of that, after the first time recognition is complete, if it's an order, we will then route the order off to your customer service representative so that they can validate to make sure that Esker's pulled the information correctly. And this is where our machine learning and AI learning or auto learning comes into play. So when the order when it's gone through the first time recognition, it goes over to your CSRs, they can look at the order and they can either show Esker where information wasn't captured, or if it didn't capture a piece of information, it can show your CSR can show Esker where the information is. Or if we captured a field incorrectly, they can make a change and correct Esker and show where it's actually supposed to be pulling the information from. So over time, as you process, 2, 3, 4 orders from a customer and this machine learning and auto learning kicks in, we're actually enhancing this first-time recognition, enhancing the learning of the Esker system and getting to a point where many of your orders will actually be able to go through automatically directly into your Invoice system without having to stop at your CSR first. Esker will actually pull all that information correctly with almost 100% accuracy, and it will go directly into your ERP system. That is actually selected by you, and you can actually select which customer orders get to that stage. So it's a customer by customer selection or a vendor by vendor selection. And then finally, we do have teaching as well, which is kind of the old school way of doing it, where you actually have to draw boxes around information and kind of create a template for each order or invoice. That is the first time recognition and machine learning become more and more prevalent, more and more enhanced and robust. This teaching functionality is used less and less, but it is there if and when it is needed. So I know that's a lot. We don't have a lot of time. 5 minutes, it seems like a lot of time, but it really isn't. That's all I have to cover today. If you have additional questions, please reach out and let me know. My contact information is below. But Gloria, is there any questions that popped up while I was kind of chatting away there?
Yes. Before we get into the questions, I want to ask you, would you just do me a favor and give an audible on your email
sure.
address?
Yep. My email address is just my first name dot last name. So it's chris.graves@esker.com. And my direct line is 608-828-6109.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we do have a couple questions so far that populated. Since you're not template based, how does your pricing work?
Yeah, so the pricing on the Esker solution, there's a monthly subscription fee since everything is hosted on the Esker side. And then there's a per document fee for each invoice or order that runs through the Esker system.
Great. Next question is, does your solution work with other ERP systems as well?
Absolutely. Yep. So we obviously work with Infor, but we also work with Epicor, SAP, Oracle, whatever other system or ERP system that customers may be using. We kind of tout ourselves as being ERP independent.
Well, thanks, Chris. I'm going to make this an open playing field now, and I'm going to invite all the other presenters today to please jump back on camera. And while we're doing that, Chris, if you'd be so kind as to just jot your website for the company, email, and phone number, any other contact that you want to put into the chat window. I have a first question that is populated. This one is for you, Paul. I'm going to ask anyone that's dropping additional questions in to please go ahead and type in the name of the person you want to direct the question to or company, and they're all identified on their names on their pages here or on their thumbnails. So question for you, Paul, can you view documents in unformed directly from a CSD inquiry screen?
Yes. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, we can take a moment and do that real quickly. If you want to go ahead and grab the screen controls.
Okay. So this is purchase order inquiry. And then from there, I can hit go and get all the documents associated with that PO.
It's just that simple, huh?
That's simple.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the screen back so that we can get through some more questions here that are populating. Chris, this one came in also for you, for Esker. How much IT involvement is required for implementation and ongoing support?
Yeah, so from the initial implementation, we generally require about a week or two's worth of IT effort. And it's really just to make sure that the data flow goes back and forth seamlessly between Esker and the ERP. So it's uploading the information from the ERP system to Esker and then also ingesting the output file from Esker back into the ERP. Once that's complete, really the idea with the Esker solution is that we train the business side of the unit to be able to monitor and maintain and make any changes that they need on the Esker side. So IT involvement from the ongoing standpoint really isn't all that, isn't required that much.
That's great to know. Jerome, this one is for you for Enlighten. Is this cloud-based technology that you shared?
Am I on? Yes, I am. Yes, it's you can install our document management solution in the cloud, in our cloud, or on your on-premise servers, whatever suits your needs.
Wonderful to know. And then Mike, not Matt. You're never going to let me forget that. I can just see when we convene next spring. It's Matt. Remember me, Gloria? It's Matt.
It's funny. Most people hack up my last name, not my first. So.
Well, I'm glad that I was eloquent enough to get your last name correct. I have a question for you too. Is there a similar app for internal sales or customer service teams to be able to see delivery information?
Yeah, no, good question. Yeah, if you recall back to my presentations where I showed the customer portal app, we have kind of two logins for that. One is for your customers where they can only see their orders, but we also do have an employee login. So that will allow anybody remote to log in and see all of the orders for your company for the day. So if they get a call from one of their customers, or they're just curious if they're heading down that way, they can actually go in and they will be able to look at all the orders and the up-to-date delivery status.
Excellent. Excellent. We have one last question so far that's populated, and this one's for you, Paul, for Unform. Can you use Image Manager with IDM?
Absolutely. So in addition to pushing the documents into the Unform archive, it also pushes them into IDM as well.
That's great to know. Well, first of all, that concludes our questions. Thank you to Paul, Jerome, Mike, and Chris for the robust content, and each one of you who have joined us and stuck through to the very end here today in our online audience. Now, as with most of our webinars, this presentation will be available on our TUG website for future reference, and then posted also to the appropriate forum board with the link for viewing within 2 business days. The content will not require membership logon, so this isn't behind the member pay portal. And now our next webinar will be this week on Friday, October 1st. It's one you don't want to miss at 2 p.m. Eastern time, as we get an Invoice CSD roadmap update with capture with IBM capture by Effisoft as well. So Catherine Henn will be providing us with an update on the roadmap, and then we'll have Effisoft jumping in with IB capture. Watch your inbox for the invitation, and also the website has all of our upcoming content available for review and jumping on that registration portal early. Now, for those of you who didn't register for TUG Connects 2021, you still have time to watch more than 280 sessions through October 1st, and registration continues to be open. All of that content is captured in a digital format. So we'd like to invite also those of you who are not yet members of TUG to join our online community, and for those of you who are, to jump behind our members only wall and continue the discussion, where I know that each one of our presenters today will be monitoring it should you have any further questions. And without any further ado, thanks again, gentlemen, and it's always a pleasure. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.